Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Brandon Cobb, co founder of HBG Capital. I've got a special guest on the show today, Dave Wolcott. He's a wealth building visionary whose journey began with a passion for uncovering the financial strategies that propel the ultra wealthy. We're going to be talking about some family offices today, institutional capital, where they're investing, what they're looking for. He spent most of his life accumulating insights, knowledge, and experience in the alternative wealth building from the best investors in the world. So he's got a blueprint just like the ultra wealthy use, the top 1%. I'm excited to figure out what they're doing differently today. Dave, welcome to the show.
Hey, Brandon, really grateful to be here to connect with you and your audience.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one because I remember we're part of the same mastermind program for I think about a year, and so I've known you. Your specialty is working with the ultra wealthy, the top 1%, the institutions, the family offices, like $50 million net worth or greater, and being able to help them structure and find deals that are a good fit. So you've not just preached it, you've actually done it. I want to talk about that because I'm very interested in what's going on right now with the market, what you're seeing, and what they're using to find success. But before we jump into it, what's your story and how'd you get here today?
Yeah, so I was raised in a middle class family in Connecticut, and I was told that the recipe for success was to go to school, get good grades, you're going to get a job, and right, life would just kind of work out, right? So, kind of followed down that path, Brandon, and had the opportunity in college to do the ROTC program, and actually went into the Marine Corps after that. Had a chance to serve my country and really learn some things in the Marine Corps they just don't teach you anywhere else. Things such as leadership, teamwork, and integrity. And after the Marine Corps, I transitioned into corporate America and I was really quickly frustrated, right? I lost that sense of purpose and mission that the Marine Corps had, so strongly. And then at the same time, we started raising a family. I had an 18-month-old, running around, driving us crazy, trying to figure that one out. And then on October 24th, 2000, we literally had triplets, Brandon. So we quadrupled the size of our family. And I'll tell you, when I held three babies in
Huh.
my arms, I was just, completely blown away. And I knew I had to provide financial security for my family. So I went to see my financial planner, and he told me the same thing every other one said, which is max out your 401k. You've got kids, no problem. We have these things called 529s that you can invest in, right? And I knew, Brandon, that the top 1% were not building their wealth as retail investors in the stock market. So this launched me on this obsessive journey to figure out how the top 1% were building wealth. And keep in mind, this is back in 2000, right? When there weren't a lot of
Yeah.
resources and things. So,
Internet wasn't what it was today back then.
exactly. So I started investing in all kinds of alternative assets, everything from oil and gas, retail, raw land, industrial, office, single family, multifamily, you name it. And, also started a business and then fast forward 20 years. And I really wrote the book, The Holistic Wealth Strategy, and created Pantheon to help other LPs figure out this framework or blueprint, to really, exponentially grow their wealth, like the ultra wealthy, and really live that life that everyone dreams of.
I want to stop talking about business just for a second here. You said you had triplets. All right, I'm about to have my first kiddo here in a few weeks, actually. What was that like having triplets? I mean, did you just not sleep? I mean, I think of how impossible it must have been to be able to get all three of those kids asleep at the same time, and then dealing with the stress of having to financially provide for the kids. How did you manage that, and what did that feel like?
Well, luckily I had Marine Corps training. I think sometimes, God has a certain plan for you, right? And you follow certain things. But it was amazing, and it still is, Brandon. I mean, my family is everything. And like I said, just holding three babies, and when you hold even one baby in your arms and you see that you created that life, it is the most profound, most amazing experience you're going to go through in your life. And that's actually really hits home for me right now, because I literally just got back. 3 days ago, my oldest daughter just had her first baby. So I became a grandfather, and I got to watch her deliver, which was, really mind blowing as well. But like I said, it's just really, it's so powerful. It's such an amazing experience. And what that's going to do for you is give you that motivation to break down walls and work really hard and drive your passion to be able to support your family and build the wealth around your family that you not only want to survive, you want to thrive, and you want to create a legacy for your family.
Wow, that's really, really cool there. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So, top 1%, what do they do differently than the regular average Joe in America? When you were going on this journey and you were discovering the differences and mapping out the blueprint, the 1%, what initially stood out? I want to get to your book here, The Holistic Wealth Strategy, but take us back to that moment where the ahas started fumbling in.
Honestly, it really starts with mindset first, Brandon, right? I started asking questions, right? So when my financial planner said defer your taxes, and everyone says, yeah, it makes sense, right? That's what everyone's doing. Your employers, your family, your friends, defer my taxes this year. And, that's a good thing, right? But when you start putting it down on paper and you start asking questions, wouldn't it be better to pay taxes on the seed rather than the harvest? Right. So it's actually having the mindset to be inquisitive, right, and curious, and start asking questions, right, and then also start to have a growth mindset where you're actually creating goals for yourself, you're creating habits that are going to support that, and you're really dialing in what is really important to you, because my investment thesis is likely different than yours, right? And we were raised in a different upbringing. We have different, we may have limiting beliefs that are kind of holding us back from the past, right? But what I've found in the ultra wealthy, right? And I've actually had Charlie Garcia on our show, who actually runs a centimillionaire community, right? And the most valuable trait he talks about, right, is actually self awareness. So really understanding yourself, right? And having this mindset. And think about it, right? What's the difference between someone like Elon Musk and someone you went to high school with who's still in the same town, same job, and same circle of friends? It's mindset.
So mindset's a big part of it. I want to get to the other stuff. What did you mean exactly when you said paying taxes on the seed and not the harvest? Can you give us an example?
Yeah. So, just think about these 401ks, right? Most Americans have their capital tied up in two different places. It's either in trapped equity and their primary residence, right? Which is the rate of return on that is zero, or it's in government sponsored qualified plans, right? But we're all told and fearful that, well, I can't get out of my 401k because there's a 10% penalty, right? And who would want to do that, or who would want to pay taxes? Well, let's just say your 401k is at, 500k, today, right? But that could be at 3 million by the time you retire at 65. When would you rather pay taxes, right? Let's say you paid it on the 500k, including the 10%. And actually, I'll even give you a scenario, Brandon, because we have a 401k exit calculator, which is what I used to exit my 401k about 15 years ago. Is if you take 100k, take out the 10% penalty, even pay 35% taxes, so now you have a net investable uh, 55k. Now, if you put that 55k into real estate, alternative assets that are compounding at 20% on a tax efficient basis, which I'm sure you can corroborate that you do deals, right, that are in that ballpark, that 55K grows to well over 2 million. And if I left the 100K in my 401K, it actually comes out to around 260K. And you've got taxes, fees, and inflation. So which scenario would you rather have?
I see. Makes a lot of sense. Interesting. So you've got a 401k calculator where it's almost like racehorses. You got the 401k racehorse, you got the private equity racehorse. Sure, if you cash out your 401k, that private equity racehorse might start further back, but it's going to eventually cross the finish line a lot quicker than the 401k racehorse that you've been investing in for a while. Okay, so mindset. Talk to us about anything else. The guy who ran the Centimillionaire community mindset was one of the one big things that he noticed that these ultra wealthy have. Was there anything else?
Yeah, and this is all really ties into my book as well, right? The first step is all about creating a vision. And most people, sadly, we live in this world, right, where there's so many things coming at us every day, right? We're raising families, we're building careers, we're, trying to work out and all of these things that take up your time, right? And people haven't spent enough time actually creating this vivid vision for themselves that depicts where are you going to be in 10, 20 years, right? What does your lifestyle look like? Where does your family look like? What are the values that you have, right? Where do you live in the world? Do you have purpose and impact, right? Are you waking up every day being fascinated and motivated about the work that you do? Because I find really most entrepreneurs are actually driven by freedom. Right. So part of it is freedom of money to be able to have the experiences that you want in life. But there's also freedom of purpose, right? To be waking up every day and be excited about the work that you're actually delivering, right?
Mhm.
Or how about freedom of relationship, right? To choose the people that you want to spend your time with, right? Either on the personal side or on the work side, right? Those things are so important. So, how about freedom of time? Right? Choosing your time to spend as you want. So when you actually have that vision statement carved out towards that, those freedom goals and what's really meaningful to you, it's amazing how many things can happen for you. You can break down walls, you can get through adversity, you can drive creativity and innovation. But without a vision statement, you're just going to make incremental progress at best.
Yeah, it's important to know where you're going because if you don't, you're never going to get there. Simon Sinek's book, Start with Why. Same stuff. You don't have a strong why, you're not going to be able to get through the tough times doing the work, right? You've got to have something that you can pull. I mean, I've got a picture of my wife here on the wedding day. I don't know if you can see that or not, and then a picture of
Yeah,
my
awesome.
ultrasound, the kid, and my 2024 goals. So every day I get to look at my little baby and my wife, and then my goals, and it's never more clear what I need to do to make those a reality, right? You got to figure out how to program yourself, rewire yourself to build the foundation that you need to be able to get through those tough times. So I get it. I love the vision statement. Is that one of the steps in your book, the holistic wealth strategy?
Yeah, the vision statement is first, right? We
Okay.
we really start with that, and then phase one kind of goes into the mindset, right? So
Hmm.
that's critical because, I mean, how many of you, right? The holidays are just around the corner, and you go home and you see old family and friends, and you're going to talk about maybe your latest real estate deal, and you're excited that you invested in this opportunity. But how many people are going to say to you, that sounds risky to me. My financial planner didn't say that was a good idea, right? So you're really going against the grain with all of these things because 95% of folks out there are really just investing in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. But the ultra wealthy really understand how to diversify into other asset classes, private equity, real estate, and really we're looking for really a three-dimensional return, right? This is really the trifecta. I think that's so powerful in real estate and alternatives is that you can actually drive tax efficiency, passive income and forced appreciation into an asset versus if I have $1,000 worth of Tesla stock, the only thing you're hoping for is it's going to go up in value. And you have absolutely no control. You wake up one day and the market's down overall 5%. The market's down. You can't do anything about it, regardless of the fundamentals. So that's very linear. And what the ultra wealthy do really well is, they look for multipliers on their money, and they're also looking to diversify for those that trifecta.
So diversification, looking to multiply their money, and the private equity is the vehicle to do that. Is that fair to say? Is that most of
Yeah,
what?
private equity and real estate really fits into that best.
Okay. What are you seeing them pay attention to right now? There's been a crazy shift since interest rates have happened. It's flip-flop the market upside down. What was very popular to invest in has become non-popular, and then there's been some new things that have really seen a pivot towards. I've heard a lot of people going into the oil and gas business for the depreciation. It seems like that sector's really lined up to do really, really well. What are you noticing? Are you noticing any trends on where they're placing their capital?
Oh, absolutely, Brandon. I mean, we've actually placed almost 30 million into oil and gas just in the past 2, 3 years alone, because of the same principles, right? Because you can get an amazing tax offset, and a lot of people don't realize that you can take, unlike real estate, right? You can actually take active losses. In this case, we have an opportunity right now where you can take up to 92% losses in 2024 against your active income. So whether that's capital gains, whether that's your W-2 income, you get those losses right away. And then we have a return of capital, like, inside the first 2 years. And the return of capital is really quick. You've got passive income that comes out, and you're diversified into a commodity that has really strong macroeconomic fundamentals, right? I don't care where you are in the world, what industry you're in, but the demand for energy just continues to grow. And something that's really fueling that, in the past, few years here is the, advent of AI and the demand on AI. Right. So we just cannot keep up with the energy that's there. We need all of the green products, solar, wind, all of those to be working, plus all fossil fuels, just to meet the demand. So family offices really like to invest where the macroeconomic fundamentals are strong, and we're
Mhm.
skating towards where the puck is going.
Yeah, then it seems to be energy. I'm hearing a lot about that
Yeah.
more and more. All right,
Yep.
so
And
first
another
we had.
one,
Go
yeah, I'll
ahead.
give you another one as well, Brandon. So this is a really interesting space too. We've been actually have another opportunity in private credit. And in this case, we've been running this fund. It's been running for 7 years now. And billionaires love private credit for cash flow because you can be churning out double-digit cash flow. And the combined annual growth rate in this sector has been over 20% for the past 10 years. And we invest private credit not only in real estate, but also in actually merchant cash advances. So, what we're doing is we're providing small businesses that are doing well and scaling their business. But since the banks have changed lending standards, or certain businesses need capital quicker to scale, we can actually underwrite and fund them inside of a week, and then they start paying us back principal and interest on a daily and weekly basis, right? So the cash flow is so nice on this. And then what happens is you get so much velocity. So as that capital is coming back into your pocket, we just keep reinvesting it into, the next deal, right? So it's very lucrative, and again, a great sector to be in, to diversify, to have some of that strong passive income coming in as well.
Any other asset classes you're noticing?
I think those are the two that we're following the most. Outside of real estate, we've been in a waiting mode on the real estate side, right? Until opportunities really kind of prevail themselves. So we think that time is coming. I don't know exactly when, right? But I think we're getting definitely closer to looking to buy. So those are the three sectors that we actually focus on. And to your earlier question, it's interesting, right? I mean, this is one of the things I've definitely learned from family offices is that they focus on 1 to 3 sectors. An entrepreneur or a family may have made their money in a certain area. Let's say it's in manufacturing, but when they invest, they're looking to invest in just 1 to 3 sectors, right? And the reason for that is because you can get better focus. With that focus, you start doing better due diligence. You start getting better access to quality deals, right? And then your success rate is going to go higher versus some people I think can be very transactional and just looking at investment opportunities here. My friend said, this is really good, or I'm going to get in this, but they don't really know enough about it. So when you can create that focus, I think your chances of success over the long term are going to continue to scale.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so we covered the vision, we covered what kind of stuff that they're investing in, lots of private equity. So that's the first 2 steps of 5 in your book, The Holistic Wealth Strategy. Let's dive into the other ones. What's step 3?
Yeah, so let's talk about that, right? I mean, not only are we looking to grow our wealth, but we want to preserve our wealth as well. So, creating infrastructure and a team around your wealth is really critical, right? So, for instance, the infinite banking. I know you've had some guests on, right, talking about infinite banking, but the ultra wealthy do this super well is looking for multipliers. Like, so how can I take $1 and have it do multiple things at the same time, right? So and there's a lot of, confusion, I think, in the marketplace, but simply put, this is a cash value whole life insurance policy. It's like buying insurance versus renting insurance. And you can put capital in this policy and it starts compounding completely tax free. Obviously, you have a death benefit to it, so you can protect your family. You can give it to your heirs tax free and avoid probate, right? Which is nice form of estate planning. It also has asset protection to it because it's life insurance. If you have money in stocks or your house, that's where a creditor can go. And then the really cool thing is you can actually borrow money against it, right? And create a little bit of an arbitrage by putting capital inside it, then borrow against it to go invest in another opportunity and create a really nice, some nice velocity. But really, it creates this sovereignty and control of your capital, where that as you own that capital, you're in a much stronger position to, let's say, give yourself 12 months of running room, of runway. If times are bad, right, you've got enough capital to support your family, support your business, and then also a place to actually store capital where it's being efficient until you have that next deal, right, that's coming out and you can support that next tranche. So we really like infinite banking is really a great part of the infrastructure. Great tax strategy is just critical. I've spent so many, large 6-figure checks in my years paying taxes that I didn't really need to. And I learned that most 95% of tax CPAs out there are really just tax, they're filing your taxes, right? They're not actually strategic tax planners. And once you can get to that rate, it's possible to bring down your taxes right down to 0%, right? So last year I paid 4% in taxes. And to me, that's just free money by understanding that the tax code is actually a series of incentives for business owners and investors. And once you can utilize that, it's free capital that you can now deploy, into some of these other opportunities. So we actually have a virtual family office as well that helps kind of create this infrastructure for people who, either A, just don't have enough time, or B, they don't have enough expertise to get in place this, understanding how to utilize all of this infrastructure, right? Strategic tax planning, estate planning, using the infinite banking, making asset allocation decisions and such.
Okay. So step three is building the right team. Who, and you name some of those people. Who are they? Just kind of name them off. Like, who do you want on your team?
So an estate planning, an asset protection attorney, for sure. That's critical, right? You want someone doing risk management and life insurance. Okay, that is really key. And especially this isn't for everyone, right? But if your net worth is, 4 million plus and scaling, these are definitely things, you should be thinking about. You want some type of financial planner, right, who can help you with asset allocation from an independent perspective and who knows much more than just stocks, bonds, mutual funds. They also have a handle on private equity investments, real estate investments, and really understanding that. And those I think are really some of the key roles that you want. I also include in there my precision health concierge functional medicine doctor, because if you don't have your health, you don't have anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Health is very foundational, and all of this is really encompassed by, we often think about wealth as really the financial capital that we have, and we're trying to aspire to have a certain amount of financial capital. But true wealth is really defined by also having spiritual capital, human capital, physical capital, emotional capital, right? And these other areas that are really holistic, right? So that you can really, live a great life and be fulfilled.
I love it, especially the health professional on your team. I think that that's something everybody needs because it's by far the most important things. That's going to give you more time on planet and better use of your time or better quality time, I should say. So yeah, if you didn't listen to that was really good advice for who you need to be consulting around your wealth protection. Let's get into step 4 and 5. What's step 4?
So, step four, Brandon, is all about asset repositioning. Oftentimes, when we talk to new clients, they might have an investment property here or there, or maybe a syndication or two, but they still have legacy 401ks, IRAs. They might have, as I said, equity sitting inside of their house, which, again, the rate of return on that is zero. And this isn't financial advice, but it's important to really think about how you can optimize your capital. And does it really make sense to start to pay off that mortgage or have it in a safe asset, like let's just say the life insurance, right? That's growing, it's tax-free compounding, it's very safe, and it provides multiple other benefits versus something that's just sitting in your house. Your house, by the way, creates risk for you as well. I had a client just the other month who, was really excited. They, purchased their dream house. It was $2.5 million, and they paid cash for it, and they were really excited. Well, it actually creates a ton of risk because when you share that house and that mortgage with the bank, then the bank actually has, more of that risk in there. So just, there's a lot of different things I think to think about, but what we want to do is, right, take your existing portfolio and look for ways that we can reposition it. Another great example, like we've had a lot of clients do, is our that credit fund with merchant cash advances I mentioned. People have money in these 401ks, and let's say you're making a 7% return on those funds over the long haul, right? That's what the S&P has done over the past 20 years. So you assume that you're making 7% there. Well, if you put that into a self-directed IRA and then put that into our credit fund, you could be making a 20% return, right? In a non-correlated asset, right? And the faster that you can double your money, Brandon, the faster you're going to really grow your wealth. And as you put all of these together, it really starts to snowball.
Yeah, I can see that. Interesting. All right. So step four, repositioning what you have, looking at that. That can be very powerful. I know a lot of people don't realize they can use their retirement accounts to invest in alternative assets. That's a big aha moment. We have a lot of investors that are like, wait a minute, I've got an IRA or a Roth and I can convert it into a self-directed account and use that. Holy schmoly. It's a complete game changer. We got a couple minutes left. What's number five?
Yeah, the last one is the fun one, right? It's all about taking action and building massive passive income. So it's investing in different opportunities, right? That again are tax efficient, provide passive income and some kind of forced appreciation to them. And then really thinking about that asset allocation model that, makes you much more diversified, insulated, right? And is going to scale with you to meet your goals.
I love it. Dave, if people want to learn more about you, learn more about your strategy, the book, the holistic wealth strategy, where can they go?
Yeah, the best place, if people are interested, I wanted to make a special offer, Brandon, where your audience can download a free copy of the book at holisticwealthstrategy.com.
All right. You can get the free book there, holisticwealthstrategy.com. We'll make sure that that gets put in the show notes. Dave, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today. Thanks for coming out.
Really appreciate it, Brandon.